All right, here we are, Mr. Will. We're on the 5th episode of the Oracle Insurance Podcast. We've just been rocking this thing out, talking about all kinds of different things. And today, I think this is going to be a really interesting topic. We'll just jump right into it and get it rocking. We're going to kind of be going over some myths in insurance. Again, you've been in the business at this point for 20, 25 years. Yep. I'm sure you've heard it all. Yeah, totally. And in some of these myths, I think when I sent them to you, you probably recognized them. You're like, yep,
a little bit.
I've heard some of these before. And so we're going to be talking just about 4 different myths in particular surrounding insurance. And so my name is Luke Relfs. I have the privilege of helping host the podcast. I'm the marketing director here at Oracle Insurance in Omaha, Nebraska. And I got my man, Will Stephanie, the CEO of Oracle. And I just love doing this because it's so important for people to get insight on some different topics. We've talked about leadership. We've talked about setbacks being setups. Mm-hmm. Our first episode, we did go in depth on insurance, and I think it'll be good to kind of ping pong between just some topics that can add value to people's lives in different, areas like business or personal life or faith or money or what have you like that, right? But then it's great to talk about who we are and what we do and educate people on some different things as far as insurance goes. So I think today's going to be a really great episode just covering some of these myths. So just to jump right into it, I'm going to give you these 4 myths back to back to back to back. And when I give you them, I want you to just give me a little 10, 15 second deal on like the first thing that comes to mind. And then we'll jump into it right after that and kind of delve more into all of them. So the first one I have here is insurance is a waste of money.
Wow. It could be. Couple reasons. Yeah, maybe you don't have the right insurance. Maybe you're not covered properly. If you never use it, it was a waste of money.
Yeah.
But what if? That's the big question. So that's what you're protecting, is that what if.
Nice.
So
that's great. So myth number 2, insurance agents only care about their commissions.
We do care about commissions. I'm not going to lie about that. Because we got to keep the lights on.
You got to provide.
Yeah, got to provide. But no, that's not, if you're in insurance for commissions, you're going to be disappointed, man, because it takes a while to, that's why a lot of people fail in insurance, because it takes a while to build it up. But no, we care about making sure, man, that when our customers call, that they're covered properly, that they feel secure when they go to bed at night. That's the driving factor, and one of the benefits is we get paid to do it.
Yeah.
So that's really the thing, and that's not the main reason, but it's a good reason.
Yeah.
Business has got to make money, or else they're not going to be in business.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair for sure. So this other one I thought was interesting, definitely is something I've thought about, so I'd love to hear what you think about it as we get into this here in a moment. But myth number 3, it says, I don't need life insurance because I'm young and healthy. What are your initial thoughts on that?
Today you're young and healthy, and you probably don't, but tomorrow you don't know.
Yeah.
And man, your age goes quick. All of a sudden you're like, boom, you're 40, 50, almost like me now. And you don't know what tomorrow brings for health. That's the biggest thing. So when you lock in your insurance at a young age, especially on life insurance, you're locking in your rate while you're young and healthy. Because if you wait till you're old, it's going to be expensive. So it's good to plan, for that, especially if you're young, starting a family. There's no reason to wait, because you're just going to pay more, and you don't know if you're going to make it to tomorrow. So that's all
fair.
Up to God.
Nice, that's great. So myth 4, this last one is. What is it? This is so funny. Red cars are more expensive to insure. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's so funny. I don't know. I always heard that growing up too. You know? And I actually had somebody last year email me, say, "Hey man, I got a new car, but it's red. Is my insurance rate going to go up?" I'm like, "No, man, no." So it's it's the car. And it's the person behind the wheel that drives the rate. So, red cars are not a big deal. And a cop may pull you over quicker, but in Nebraska, you'd be pulling a lot of people over with red cars.
Yeah, no lie. I'm about to say, I'm sure there's plenty of people who do. Yeah. So tell me this before we kind of jump right into this is just maybe give me your thoughts on how believing some of these myths can impact maybe your financial security or just your security in general when it comes to your insurance.
Yeah, starting on life insurance by waiting on that, could be detrimental to those that depend on you. If you're like, I'm young, I'm healthy, I don't need it yet. Again, we don't know. If we had a crystal ball, well, I'd be out of a job.
Yeah.
We wouldn't need insurance because we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But until we do, you got to protect against those things that could happen. And you have to outweigh the benefits of, okay, here's what my cost is going to be. But what if, tomorrow, if I weren't to make it through the day, what would I want to happen? Because I'm not going to be able to control it once I'm gone. So what do I want to leave to my loved ones and, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, buying into those myths can put you in a bad position if you're listening to the wrong stuff or doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. So let's break down number one. Again, myth number one was insurance is a waste of money. I'll be honest, I remember I was just watching a Husker game a couple weeks ago somewhere with a buddy of mine who was in town, and we were talking about some different industries and, this is a scam, that's a scam. And it came up that I was, I work in insurance, but it was just so funny because he literally said that. And I was like, tell me more about that. And we didn't get to have a big conversation about it, but this is right on this topic of insurance is a waste of money in general. But he said something to that degree of like, insurance is like the other biggest scam, as we were talking about whatever the biggest industry scam was. And I was like, I mean, I somewhat understand how you could say that, but tell me more. And so when somebody says that, what are your initial thoughts? Obviously, you work in insurance, so you're
Right.
biased, but that's a big thing about what we do, right? Is that it genuinely is helping people. So tell me about what you would say to somebody maybe who does believe that, like, hey, it's not worth spending my money on.
Right. Usually when I hear that, I think, okay, they don't see enough value in the plan that they have. So a lot of people, it's just lack education. Like, they think it's, car insurance is required. Well, what if something were to happen? What do you expect your insurance to do? I think maybe their expectations are higher for the amount that they're paying, and insurance costs have gotten expensive. So, it's really helping them understand what do you expect your insurance to do? Maybe you're paying for a, low deductible plan when you're never going to turn a claim in. Some people are like, I want the cheapest insurance, bare bones, but they always are trying to turn claims in, and they're always going to be disappointed because they pick crappy coverage. So, so it's like, hey, what do you expect? That's where you have an insurance guy to sit down and say, here's what I want my insurance to do for me.
Yeah.
And then we, ask questions to try to find out, okay, were they one or the other, and then help design a plan so that they know what they should expect when that day does happen. And I think that's, that falls on the insurance guide, and I'm sure, we failed at that in the past, but it's just really helping them understand, okay, here's what it's going to do for you. We got to put them in the date of loss or in a loss to see help them understand what's going to happen. If you're buying life insurance and you never plan on dying, which you should, it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to see the value in life insurance.
Yeah.
And that's where when you're young and healthy, you're like, man, I'm good. I'm indestructible, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen at some point, right? So just helping people understand that day you have a claim, what do you want your insurance to do for you?
That's a great question. I think people need to ask. I mean, even recently I've heard of people having, taking an unexpected visit to the hospital and having to pay tens of thousands of dollars for surgeries and not having insurance or, dental things. I know friends with issues with things like that, and they didn't have dental insurance, trying to scramble, figure out how to get insurance. How does that work? Because I know there's different cases, but does it even, I assume it doesn't even work for someone to not have insurance for some kind of health issue and then get insurance to cover whatever happens to them. How does that work with that?
Yeah, it's kind of, you mean after the fact?
Yeah. So say I don't have any health insurance, and then all of a sudden I know that I'm going to need to go in and get a surgery and it's going to cost X amount. And then I decide to get health insurance or whatever would help me cover that. Like what things are in place to keep everyone from doing that? Yeah.
So most carriers, if you're getting health insurance like that, there's pre-existing conditions that aren't covered. So say you go into the doctor and the doctor's like, yeah, you're going to need surgery. And then you go try to get health insurance. you could probably get health insurance, but that's going to be a pre-existing condition and probably not going to be covered. You could try to go on Affordable Care Act and possibly get something, but yeah, if it's after the fact, that's where it's, the job of the insurance guy to be like, hey, here's what could happen if you delay it, and you might not be covered.
Yeah.
So that's where, insurance is expensive, and it can be expensive, right? But it's one of those things like the day after, what do you want to happen? Would you wish you would have paid for it prior to it? So it's kind of it's a tricky part, but just again, that's where an insurance agent, that you can trust and know is going to do right by you. That's such a huge deal.
Yeah.
To at least sit you down and educate you. So you know, right? So you don't, we want to take away surprises so that when that day that storm hits, that you know what to expect. So
yeah, that's super important. So that kind of segues great into this myth number 2, that insurance agents only care about the money they're making or only care about the commissions they're making. Talk some about that, and specifically about Oracle, how that works for us here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, commissions are important because that's what keeps our lights on.
Yeah.
But that's probably one of the last reasons we get into this field, is because we want to serve people. We want to help them feel comfortable, make sure they can sleep at night because they're protected properly.
Yeah.
And here at Oracle, we do it as a team. So we have everybody here's willing to help. So. And those commissions help pay for to make sure we're staffed, to make sure that there's somebody here to answer the phone. Because if your agent's not always going to be available, so we have other licensed staff here to help take care of people while they need that help. So yeah, commissions are important because, like I said, it keeps us operating. But if that was our main goal, we would pick something else to do. I'd be an NFL football player if I was good enough, but that pays better.
Yeah, fair enough. Before we move on to this third one, I know we had discussed it some in the very first podcast that we did, where we really heavily talked about insurance and about ourselves here at Oracle, but just again, either reiterate or maybe bring some new information to someone, talking about how is Oracle different, right? What are the things that we strive to do that kind of still tie with this idea that some people may believe, man, these people just want my money, or they keep asking about this because they just want to, get money out of me and whatever. Right. So what would you say about that as far as Oracle specifically goes?
Well, I mean, the reason I created Oracle was as an independent agent, we have options. So, there are going to be people that they want the cheapest price. There are going to be people that want the best coverage. There are people that are going to want the best mixture of both of those, just the best money for their value. So, by having independent choice, again, we work for the client, not for the carrier, to where some captive agents, they only have one option. So they can only sell that one company. So they do really work for that company, to where we work for the client, so we can go out and try to find whatever it is that client expects of their insurance. If they want the cheapest price, we can find them the cheapest price and let them know of, hey, here's what you're giving up. Or, go out and just find them the best carrier with all the coverages, all the bells and whistles. So you can really customize it to help them feel comfortable with what they're getting, and just really by helping explain all the coverages is the biggest part, because as technology comes into play, all this stuff, house values are going crazy. Yeah. I mean, you can be all over the board on coverages and price because of all the different options that are coming available. So being, knowledgeable on what's there from your insurance guide, helping you walk through that's the biggest part of just, hey man, what am I getting, and why are they choosing us? Because every year, that's why we relook at everybody's stuff to make sure they are in the best spot.
Yeah.
Not that we want to move them around from carrier to carrier, but we just want to keep everybody, all the carriers honest and make sure we got them in the right spot. So
yeah, just reevaluating like that every year is super huge. I mean, you were Allstate for some years, and obviously you've been in the insurance industry for a couple decades now. Is that a common thing at all that any other companies do, where they're kind of calling the people that they're serving in that way and seeing if they want to change things or letting them know if things are updated? Is that even pretty common in other companies like that?
I think it's something that we really make a point of, that's kind of what we promise, like, hey, we're going to check every year.
Yeah.
So as for other agencies and stuff, I don't think they quite do it as much as we do. Just because we can't say we did it and ethically not do it, right? So it's something where I'm like, hey, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah.
I'd say it's something that we really pride ourselves on. I guess I can't talk to how everybody else does it, but I know we do.
Yeah.
That's something we really try to focus on. So
yeah. Great point. Third one, again, like I said, I definitely could identify with this being a 24-year-old and still learning about insurance myself, even having been here for a couple months now. But the third myth that we're talking about is that I'm young and healthy. Why do I need to pay X amount every single month for life insurance? You got into it a little bit, but talk a little more in depth on maybe cases you've seen or any kind of evidence you have to back up. Hey, these are the reasons why it's going to be important for you to have something like that, even if you are young and healthy.
Yeah, our office is located close to Gretna, Nebraska, and really when that, I always knew it was something you got to look at, but it was always something for young people. You're like, it's different. They are young and healthy, and but being from around Gretna, and we were very close to a lot of the families that lost. There was 4 girls lost in a car crash.
Yeah.
That were seniors in high school.
Yeah.
Something you would never expect, something you would never plan for. They were young and healthy, and tragedies happen, and that was eye-opening for a lot of people. That, man, we don't know the time, the day when we're going to get called home, man.
Yeah.
So that was eye-opening. Man, we just got to start, no matter what the age, start bringing it up, just so if it is on somebody's heartstrings and they're like, oh man, I never thought about that, we should look into that. But because there's, and especially like even if for young people with, juvenile diabetes, they may never be able to get a policy after they're diagnosed with that, or not very affordable. So, really starting planning sooner, if you're starting to think about starting a family, again, there's no time because, as long as you got kids in your household, you got extra hands in your pockets. So, and they depend on you. And if something happens to you, that's something that you got to take care of, and make sure they're, financially okay.
Yeah.
Everybody you leave behind. And, so it's stuff to think about. But like when there's a husband and wife, and say the husband is the one that's working outside the home, man, that wife work at home with the kids, taking care, running around. Man, if something were to happen to the one staying home with the kids, man, you're not going to go to work the next day. You may not go to work for the next couple years because you want to be there for the kids. You got to be there for yourself in healing. So there's a lot of things like that you got to think about, that it's stuff you don't want to think about, right? Nobody ever wants to think about losing a kid. Nobody ever wants to think about losing a spouse. But having those tough discussions are huge for making sure that if something did happen, that it doesn't cause financial devastation in the household.
Yeah.
So
something you talked about earlier that I thought was interesting, that I know is so real, talk some about how the rate increase in the last like 15 and 20 years that you've seen, how that could affect the next 15 to 20 years. Do you project just by, knowing what the data has shown in the past or knowing what's going on now, is there going to be a similar rate increase year by year for the next 15 to 20 years that would really benefit someone to lock in a great rate right now for life insurance? Do you think it's going to be even crazier in the increase? But what's the benefits of somebody that is in their 20s and is healthy and young locking in their rate?
Yeah, I mean, the younger you are and the healthier you are when you get life insurance, it's every year you get older, the more expensive it's going to get. And as men, as we start, getting into the 30s, 40s, 50s, in the 50s is when we really get hammered, just because men have more heart disease and things like that. And then for women, it's kind of, you got birthing years and stuff like that. So, but the sooner that you can get it locked in, definitely the better, because it is kind of crazy in life insurance. In the past 20 years, premiums have went down because life expectancy went up. Since COVID, all this, what's been going on the last 3 years, life expectancy actually went down.
Wow.
Because you see such an increase in depression. People are just sitting on their couch all the time.
Yeah.
Or during COVID because you couldn't go out and do anything. People got less healthy, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy to think with all the, hospitals being built everywhere, all the medical breakthroughs we've had, and people are starting to live shorter lives.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. So, man, I hope it changes, right? Hopefully we don't go through anything like that, and hopefully we've learned a lot from that period. Like, hey, man, yeah, it ain't going to work just sitting on your couch and moping and stuff, man. You got to get out and live life. So, hopefully on life insurance, it turns back up to where people start to living longer again.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And then this last myth that's pretty interesting that I know I've maybe heard something about before, but you were just talking about how you heard something about this not long ago, right? But the last myth was, I have a red car. Is that going to be more expensive to insure, right? Talk some about why that is even a myth that's been around for years.
Well, I remember growing up, like they used to say, like, well, if you get a red car, you're going to get pulled over more often. Your insurance rates are higher.
Okay.
And I don't know who told that little fib, but man, it's not even close. Like,
It's
we don't
spread
ask
like
what color your car
wildfire.
even is. Yeah, we don't even care what color it is. But man, it's all the driver and all the stuff in the car. So if you got a Hemi engine, you're going to pay more than a 4-cylinder. So,
Yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense for sure. Again, we briefly went over it right in the beginning, but again, just talk about what could be some of the downfalls of somebody believing some of these myths, waiting super long to get life insurance if they are younger, not wanting to spend the money because it's too expensive, believing the lie that, oh, these people are just out for my money, so I don't want to give it to them, right? What are some things that can happen if someone isn't properly covered or they just don't have any kind of insurance at all because they're believing those things?
yeah, I mean, that's where I think it's key to make sure you have a trusted guide to go to.
Yeah.
To ask the questions of what if I don't, or what if I cut this out? What if I wait? And then just have a candid conversation with them on, okay, what are the downsides of it? And, talk about, okay, what if I wait 10 years to get my life insurance? What does that cost difference look like? And then also, hey, well, in 5 years, I'm going to be looking at starting a family. Okay, no reason to wait. Here's what your cost is if you wait. Or if you're talking about like on your home and auto insurance, I'm like, hey, I want to cut down coverages to save money. Okay, what could that cost you if you do make those changes and something were to happen? Like you got to outweigh the cost there's going to be, there may be some upfront savings for making changes to cut some coverages or save some money with a certain carrier, but okay, what are the downsides to it, or could be possible downsides, right? And that way you can just like talk through it and and have somebody to kind of bounce ideas off and just think through like, hey, is this the best thing for me? Maybe short term it is, but long term, what could be the outcome of cutting some of this stuff out or waiting to get a policy? So just really having somebody there you can bounce all the stuff off of is the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's great. Again, that's a great segue into one of these last sections here is discuss the importance of us at Oracle being a great local option for people in the Nebraska area. What is the difference of having somebody that you can come to here at the office if you're in town, or just knowing that there's a difference in having a giant insurance company versus someone that's local? What are the benefits of us at Oracle being able to understand the community that we do seek to serve versus some other option?
No, totally. I mean, being in the community, we know this, we know the people, we know the area around here.
Yeah.
We know what risk, because we see the claims day in, day out, and know the carriers that represent the area the best. But really it's just getting the heartbeat of the community. And the biggest thing for the client is that every time they call here, they're going to get 1 to 12 people on the phone, that are answering the phones here. So we get to know our clients, and, we understand them better. We know where they're at. We know what their expectations are. But instead of having a 1-800 far away phone number to call, that the person on the other end of the phone doesn't even know who you are, doesn't know what your cares are, your concerns. So that's the benefit of having a local trusted agent that you build a relationship with. And that's our goal, is to, have you as a client as long as we can, and then get to know you so that we know, just how you like to be covered, what's important to you, and what keeps you up at night. And it helps us design the plans around it to satisfy that stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, we talked about all kinds of good stuff today, just these different myths of insurance is too expensive, or I don't think it's important, especially for a young, healthy person. I don't think it's beneficial for me to have life insurance. Red cars are more expensive to insure, all kinds of different things. So thanks for just providing some background and some knowledge to some of these myths, because like we've talked about a couple times now, even in this 25 minutes, is it's important to have someone that you can trust, right? That was a great thing. I love that we talked about that. You do need to find an insurance agent or guide, like we like to say, that you can trust, someone that will bring you the right information, will truly help you cover the things that you care about the most, right? And just the flexibility of Oracle having the options to find you different kinds of coverages with all kinds of different carriers. And then again, just that emphasis on being local, understanding the community that you're serving, and really seeking to do that, even dispelling the myth that we talked about of, insurance agents are just out for my money, right? Everyone needs to make money. There's going to be commissions made on almost any kind of sales-based industry. But at the end of the day, there's levels to it. There's different ways to go about it. Some people really do just care about the money, but that's the biggest difference, I would say, with us at Oracle, is just truly linking with somebody who's going to assess every year and help you out as far as that goes. So again, just sitting down, crushing it, going through it, my man, Mr. Will.
It's always fun, man.
Yeah, thanks for sitting down and doing it. I think there was a lot of great information that things that people may not have heard about before on this. And so we'll be back again next time with something else. We got plenty more to talk about, plenty more things. So again, Oracle Insurance, Google it, give us a visit here, and call the number, and we'll be rolling some things out here super soon to grab some people. But awesome. Mr. Will, thanks for sitting down again, and we'll do it again soon.
Appreciate it as always, dude.